So, where did running righteously start? And for me, it started in October of 2017 in Fort Worth, Texas, in the family court building. At the time, I was fighting to see my daughter, and it was just a horrible process. And anybody watching this that's went through family court completely understands that there's so many different scenarios, but at the end of the day, the common ground that we share is that it's hard to do. Becoming a parent, especially for men, right, or for any parent in that matter, it really gives our life a whole different meaning, and it gives us a whole different mindset. So being a parent is extremely emotional and is extremely important to us, and we really desire that. And so anyways, moving forward from that, I wasn't a believer at the time, back in October of 2017. The best thing that happened out of that is I got court ordered to go do some one-on-one coaching, counseling, and it was with a chaplain with a nonprofit organization. And anyways, sat down, did some one-on-one with him, and the gist of how all that worked was, the facilitator there, he worked with me one-on-one, then he worked with mom one-on-one, and then he brought us together, which was a whole nightmare. But anyways, went through that whole process, checked the box with what was required with the court, but at the end of the day, the problem was still there. And after that, I took a 10-week class called Father's Focus, and completed that, and still had the problem with mom. And anyways, this guy, his name's Don, the first person that I came in contact with, he handled all the facilitators for the Father's Focus class. And he was a believer, and he just kept planting seeds, and those seeds just slowly grown, to fast forward to August of 2018. And I decided to give my life to Jesus and pursue that relationship with God. And through all of that, my life started to have a lot more meaning. A lot of the uncertainty with my daughter, a lot of the uncertainty that I just had in my life and my purpose was starting to be slowly fulfilled. And so, throughout that whole process, the whole court process took a few years, and it was finally done at the end of 2019, I believe. But throughout all of that is what I was doing at that time is I had quit my career, which had defined me because that's what I worshiped. That's what I looked up to was my career, and which in return, what supplied me was money. So that's what I worshiped was money, and which is completely empty to what I come to find out, right? So, I had a great career. I was in the gas and oil and energy industry, and I was upper management, and I had a lot of opportunities there. And throughout the process with family court, I gave that career up, and I put myself into a box, or I put myself to fit inside the family court box. And so I went and got a 9-to-5, and long story short on that one, I had that 9-to-5 for 5 years and 9 months exactly. And it was miserable, because that's not who I was. God has given me gifts, and I wasn't utilizing any of those gifts with what I was doing with my current works, right? Because it's all about God providing us opportunities and how we are going to serve in those opportunities. And during that 5-year and 9-month span of having that 9-to-5, I really wasn't what I thought at that time. I wasn't serving God. I was really applying God every day in my life. But currently now, looking back on that situation, God was pruning me. I was growing. So I was, there was a whole purpose there. God had a whole purpose, even though at the time, wrapped up in it, I felt that I had just completely given up on life, and that I need to fit myself into this box. And ultimately, the worst thing that I did out of all that too, I wrapped my identity up through my daughter. And that's a horrible thing to do as a parent. And so, whenever you can't see your kid, things start to spiral. And when you only get to see your kid every other weekend, it's real quick to spiral real quick. So, I finally went through that whole pruning process with God, and God was doing that to me, and helping me grow and strengthen me, giving me situations where I could create, or I could be courageous, and I could be patient, and I could be loving, and I could show grace. Because ultimately, when we pray for all those things, God just doesn't magically just give us patience and give us courage, or give us the ability to be courageous. God gives us situations in order to be those things, to grow in those things. That's the whole point of that. And of course, ultimately, we all fall short, so we get frustrated with those things, and why does it have to be like this? And but that's the whole pruning process, right? So, went through all of that, the 5 years and 9 months, and I got reconnected back up with my business partner from before the mess of family court, and got reconnected up with him, and we started moving forward. And we literally picked up where we left off. Of course, we had never quit talking over that time period. We were always in touch with one another, not only as my business partner, but it's one of my good friends. It's great to have that fellowship, and it's just great to have another person in your life that you can share life with. It doesn't need to necessarily always be an intimate relationship, right? So that's kind of the gist of that. But went through the pruning process, and we all need to go through that, and God needs to do that to us, and we need to allow God to do that so we can bear better fruit. It's a hard thing to swallow. It's a tough thing to go through, but it's definitely needed, right? So it's just moving on and moving on. And anyways, for the months to come with that situation where I reconnected back up with my old business partner, that's when the really dig in and where I was going to prioritize God really came through. And God gave me these gifts to make money, to connect with people, to fellowship with people. And I was given that opportunity back again, so God could see how I would handle that. Am I really going to seek God? Because what got taken out of that was, now I didn't have the financial constraints like I did before. I didn't have the constraint of living somewhere where I didn't want to live, right? And I was able to travel again, and all of that stuff, and God really provided that opportunity back again for me. And I feel that God did that so I would start to drive and to really find my purpose, and to really strengthen my relationship with God, to seek a righteous desire. I know this may be boring, but it gets a little better. Tune in for the next episode. We'll see you guys.